Since I was young, I've known that I've had about 14 food allergies. There was a list that has been ingrained in my head for as long as I can remember. That list has grown over the years. I think as I've been exposed to different foods and different cuisines, that list I think currently is sitting around 28.
Alex D'Souza has spent his whole life learning to navigate his allergies. As a baby, he first took a reaction to milk, and gradually the number of flare-ups began to increase.
There were a lot of things that my parents had to do and change around the house because it didn't just affect me, it affected the entire household. I think I had a lot of skin issues as a kid with eczema, so they took the carpets out and they started really buying whole foods, not prepackaged or processed stuff where there's a whole bunch of hidden ingredients in there.
Alex's most severe allergies to peanuts and legumes can trigger anaphylaxis. It's a life-threatening reaction which can cause difficulty breathing, heart palpitations and vomiting.
It's becoming increasingly difficult, I think, in this day and age because those ingredients are starting to sneak into a lot of products, especially in the supermarket. Pea protein is being used to preserve things like meats, cream cheese, yogurt. Anything that is labelled as vegan or gluten-free for me is a red flag because it uses those ingredients like legumes.
Anaphylaxis has to be treated immediately with an injection of adrenaline, commonly known as an EpiPen. Alex always carries one, but has also developed other ways to manage the risk. Knowing that you have allergies to roughly 28 different products must have the potential to be very restrictive.
It can be, if you let it be. If you learn to cook, it really helps open up your doors as to how you can substitute one thing for something else, especially in home cooking. That's been a massive thing that I have relied on over the years. Eating out in restaurants can pose a particular challenge. I will try to call ahead. I will absolutely look at the menu online and try and read every last word on that menu to try and get as much detail and information on the menu as I possibly can. In Scotland, it's a legal requirement to give information about whether food contains any of the 14 key allergens, but the way that's done can vary. The legislation right now is very loose. Businesses are only mandated to be able to tell you that information in person. In my opinion, it doesn't go far enough because focusing everything on the conversation is actually quite dangerous. There's a lot of factors at play there. How busy the place is, the server that is serving you and how knowledgeable they are. The server would need to be supported by some kind of information pack. Is that information pack up to date? If there's no information pack, they're speaking to the chef in the moment. The chef is also busy. You spoke about making that transition from being a youngster, having your parents taking care of all this for you, to then having to take responsibility yourself. How challenging can it be to advocate for yourself at a young age as well when you are trying to navigate a condition like this? Very difficult. There's something that I've struggled with is actually just being able to speak about it. There's a whole language of the phrases that you use to communicate the severity of certain things, what matters, what doesn't, what's okay with cross contact, what's not.
We have a receipt in here and I'll just get set up for you.
But allergies don't just develop in early life. At Scotland's only adult allergy clinic, specialists are helping much older patients navigate new conditions.
Our oldest allergy ever for a first allergy is 88.
Wow.
So it is something that affects all age groups, teens and early 20s, maybe even into the 30s. That's probably our bulk. But we definitely get people with first allergies in their 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s.
I would imagine that discovering allergy for the first time that late on in life, it must be pretty confusing.
Like any chronic condition, if you find out you've got diabetes when you're 5, by an adult, you're pretty good at it and it's just part of who you are. But, case in point, we have people who develop an allergy to meat at the age of 88, suddenly has to essentially become a vegetarian, which is quite a big thing to do to somebody, a big change of lifestyle, but unfortunately very necessary. I think for the lady over there, we'll do the seafood. So we've got mussel, we've got lobster. What else?
Dr. Pete Kewen set up this clinic in 2006 with Professor Malcolm Shepherd. They're both respiratory specialists and recognised a growing need for allergy care among adults.
It certainly is more common than it used to be. The really strong data is for the last 20 years, and we think that there is about a trebling in the numbers of people who have severe allergy and anaphylaxis over the last 20 years. But in fact, going back to the 1980s, where we began to see a rise in the number of people with allergies of all kinds to food and to medicines, then the increase has probably been going on for a lot longer than 20 years.
All of our referrals come from essentially other doctors, largely primary care, so GPs. We deal a lot with drug allergy as well, and so it tends to be anaesthetists, people having operations, having a reaction, so we will deal with that. I can't speak to the absolute accuracy of figures, but up to nearly a year at the moment for a routine wait, just because of the resources we have and the number of people getting referred.
Alexander? Yeah.
The team here helps patients to monitor and manage their condition. Alexander's here for his first checkup in a few years.
Okay, thank you.
I was allergic to milk, eggs, fish and nuts. And over the years I have actually grown out some of my allergies. So in 2018 I discovered that I'm no longer allergic to fish and nuts.
This is almond nut.
I came back today just to kind of check to see if there's been any changes, especially with my egg allergy, because that's the most kind of prominent allergy at the moment.
Sharp scratch over it.
Mm-hmm.
How severe is your egg allergy?
So it's anaphylactic. So if I do have a bit of egg, then I will just go into a reaction.
Talk me through this test that you've had here done today. What have you been getting checked for?
So I got a skin prick test done, and these here are the top 10 allergens I've got. So number 1 and 5 are for nuts, and 6 is the egg allergen.
For the general population, a lot of people's only understanding of anaphylaxis is really where you see those tragic cases where somebody has lost their life. In reality, is it a more manageable condition than people maybe would understand?
Oh, very much so. I mean, everything we do is to reduce the risk of that patient having anaphylaxis. And certainly the data would suggest if you have an allergy, you know what it's to, and you're prescribed adrenaline, your risk of dying of that allergy is extremely low. You can be in control of this. If you have a common sense approach and don't restrict yourself too much, but know where the pitfalls are, this isn't going to happen. On the other hand, if it does, here's how you're going to manage it.
The clinic sees around 1,000 patients from across Scotland every year, but it's estimated that as many as 6,000 to 10,000 people could be living with anaphylaxis or the risk of it.
We spend a lot of time trying to help colleagues across the country who are dealing without their expertise in managing patients who have allergy. We certainly don't have resources to see everybody, and we'd like to have more resource to do that. I think we should look at services and try and expand them and try and improve the offering that we have for adult patients with allergy.
While the waiting list for this service continues to grow, Alex is developing a tool to help people like him better understand and communicate allergy information.
The founding of Edible came from the frustration that I've felt, which is that it's very difficult still to figure out where it is that you can eat out of the house.
Edible helps restaurants to display their allergen information in a clearer way so customers can access it before they even leave the house. We do know that a lot more people now are living with allergies than did in the past. How important do you think it's going to be for people to learn how to manage those allergies and to live with them as opposed to being restricted by them?
It's essential to be able to learn because they're not going away. There is a demand for information about what is in food, and I think that is only going to grow.